Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel once again, and this is gonna be another movie review. So, this is it. The last stop on our journey through the X-Men saga. And this one is an interesting one. And this is the New Mutants. As always, I'm not professional, movie reviewer, movie analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time. Which, I had an okay time with this movie. Admittedly, I hated this movie a lot less than I thought I would. But admittedly, I was going into it fully expecting to completely dislike the movie, but not really the case. Is it a good movie? Not really. Is it a horrible movie? I probably wouldn't say that. Have I seen worse? Oh yeah, but this movie, if I could describe this movie, it's a movie that had some ideas, and not all of them were fully realized. I feel like, but some ideas were there. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So for those of you who have seen these reviews before, you kind of already know how this works. Those of you who haven't, I'm going to talk about what I liked and what I disliked about the movie. Starting with starting with kind of what I liked here. This movie was kind of sold, kind of promoted as a horror movie, and you can see some of those aspects in there, for better or for worse. The movie does have some horror aspects to it, and I think that mainly has to do with its characters, and more specifically its main character, or so. So our cast of heroes slash mutants is here is Danny Moonstar, who essentially is recast and pretty much has like a different version of her as previously. I think it was supposed to be her in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I could be completely wrong about that. In fact, I probably am. But you have Danny Moonstar. You have Magic, aka Ileana Rasputin, Colossus' sister, although no mention of Colossus in this movie. You have Wolfsbane, aka Rain Sinclair. You have Sunspot, aka Roberto da Costa. I think it's da Costa, but or Hobby as he's referred to, and Cannonball, aka Sam Guthrie. So, kind of the cast characters coming from different backgrounds. Annie Moonstar are Native American, and Magic, who is Russian, and Wolfsbane, who's Scottish, Sunspot, who's Brazilian, and then Sam Guthrie, who's American. So having different characters of different backgrounds and everything, and kind of in like that vein of what the X-Men is all about, because the X-Men is usually all about diversity. So we see the characters, and we see how they kind of gel as they come together. And the reason I say a kind of horror aspects of the movie is that Danny Moonstar is able to not through her own will, but manifest people's fears and essentially give them nightmares. And so they kind of played around with that, and I think that's where the horror aspect of it comes in. And of course, each person's fear, including Danny's own fear, comes from why they're in this facility in the first place. They're here or in this hospital. So Danny, he lost her father, after she was attacked essentially by a spirit, and we're gonna learn more about that spirit. Then we have Magic, who went through some stuff as a child, essayed, if you will. Then Wolfsbane, who killed the priest who tried to hunt after her, or then Bobby, who who killed his girlfriend unintentionally, and then Cannonball, who accidentally killed his father unintentionally. So each of these characters has a tragic backstory, and that's essentially why they're here in this facility. And they think they're getting better, and they're lied to by the doctor, aka Cecilia Reyes. As Dr. Reyes tries to make it seem like they're gonna recover and get better and stuff, but turns out they're actually being bred as weapons for the Essex Corporation. And admittedly, I think this is the part where I owe the X-Men saga an apology. They do kind of follow up on the Essex tease at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, although sadly no appearance of Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister. But yes, they're being bred to become weapons for the Essex Corporation, and they reference through a vision that Danny has. They reference and the children that were being experimented on in Logan, and if you haven't already, go check out my review of that. But also, it begs the question: where in the timeline does this take place? So perhaps with the vision, it could be implied that this is supposed to take place after the events of Logan, but also considering they're being sent over to that facility, there is a chance that this could be taking place smack dab in the middle, right before Logan. And let me know in the comments which one it's supposed to be. Admittedly, I am a bit lost on that, and sadly, I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed. But yeah, so there's that, and like I said, they play around with that horror aspect, having each character's fears manifested, including Danny's. He's of the bear, who almost kills them all until Danny's able to overcome her fear and soothe the bear there. And it relates to the story he told originally about the two bears. So it starts off talking about talking about the story of the two bears, that there's two bears trapped inside you, one pure good, one pure evil. So they kind of play around with that. So like I said, some ideas are there. They do have some ideas there, including using that for the horror aspects of the movie. The ideas are there, but execution-wise, are they always pulled off the best? Not really, but we'll get to that. So yeah, there's that. We see the characters gel with each other. At first, Ileana / Magic, I might interchange between like their actual names and then their superhero like code names, but Ileana at first hates Danny for no discernible reason, and Danny and Rain have kind of a romance going on. They hint at a romance between Bobby and Ileana, but they kind of partially abandon it a little bit, but we see them there in the hospital, kind of like breaking the rules, essentially being teenagers. Teenagers aren't always going to follow authority. They're very much going to buck and go up against authority, and they're very much doing that there as they learn more about themselves and each other and their powers, including Ileana with her puppet Lockheed. And her access to Limbo, which is a world of her creation, as determined here. So, we see these characters, and I know, again, kind of going all over the place again, but yeah. So, we see the characters, we see how they interact and gel with each other. We see them grow to tolerate each other, not like full-fledged family, but they tolerate each other. Them being friends is kind of debatable, but them tolerating each other essentially, especially after Danny, which this is how the bear spirit comes to life in the first place and almost kills our main character, is that Danny's going to be killed because she's too dangerous to be left alive. Dr. Reyes is ordered by the Essex Corporation to kill Danny. So, that's what brings about that. They save her. Dr. Reyes is actually killed by the bear spirit. But yeah, so then they go off. Essentially, they're trapped in the hospital by a force field set up by Dr. Reyes. But now that she's dead, they're able to wander, and then that's where they go from there. So, like I said, and I keep saying this, and you'll probably hear me say this quite a bit, but some ideas are there. You can tell they still wanted it to be in the X-Men universe. They even reference like, oh, we're being set up to join the X-Men. They think is what they're being set up for, or what they're being treated for. But it turns out they're going to be used as weapons by the Essex Corporation. But obviously, ultimately, that's not the case. You could tell they wanted it to be in the vein of the X-Men universe, with the mutant powers and everything, and characters that are familiar to like the avid X-Men readers, to those who read the comics know the characters, but they also wanted it to stand out on its own, especially with the horror aspect, which they lean into a bit more after a test screening, at least according to the wiki here, or kind of leaning into that. And there even was supposed to be more characters in this movie, including Warpath and Warlock, but we essentially got our 5 characters / heroes here. So there is those, and there's those aspects. In terms of what I didn't like as much about the movie, for starters, let's get the elephant out of the room. Let's address the elephant in the room, and then I guess get it out of the room. This movie is very short. This movie is about an hour and a half. Of a very short movie, especially compared to the other X-Men movies. Is with like probably the shortest one up to this point being maybe like an hour 45 or so, but this one only an hour and a half. Very short movie, and it kind of reflects because a lot of this does feel kind of rushed. Like they kind of have to bum rush through it. Like, okay, guys, we got an hour and a half. We got to move. And I wish this movie was given more time. So that we can so that the characters can be explored a little bit more and they're able to gel a bit more. We do get some explorations into the characters, some explanations of their backstories and how they ended up within the facility, but sadly we're not able to go deeper with the characters because the movie is only so short. Only the hour and a half time allotted. Why they decided to do it that way, I'm not entirely sure. It could be complications with. So this movie actually had, and I guess I kind of give it some sympathy points for this, even though I may or may not, or probably should, or probably shouldn't. I couldn't think of the word there, but even though I probably shouldn't, but I do have to give it some sympathy points because this movie did go through some stuff. There was at first it was supposed to be released in 2018, but they didn't want it to be released around the same time as Deadpool 2. So, according to Wiki here, it was released August 28th of 2020, smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, which probably also affected it. Although I think this is around when movie theaters were going to be reopened. So it was going to be released in 2018, but it was delayed to February of the next year, so it didn't conflict with Deadpool 2. When then that got moved to August, so that it didn't conflict didn't conflict with Dark Phoenix. Then it got moved to April 3rd, because of Disney acquiring Fox, and then it got placed in limbo, no pun intended, due to the pandemic, and then it got released in August. So, because of that, some people feel like this movie is kind of cursed because of that, and that's kind of understandable, but really short, and I feel like they could have given it, and probably should have given it more time in order for the characters to really gel. And kind of towards the ending there, kind of trying to do the whole fake out antagonist thing, like, oh, you think this person's gonna be the real major / final villain, but no, it's really this thing. So, this movie has that. So the villain, for the most part, was Dr. Reyes, and the Essex Corporation. But then, and they did the fake out by having the final villain be the bear spirit, and the bear actually killing Dr. Reyes. It did suck that Dr. Reyes didn't get killed by one of the characters, specifically Magic, because we see it seemed like it was leaning in towards Magic finally going to get her revenge on Dr. Reyes. As we see a lot of conflict between those two. That's what it seemed like, and that's what it was hinting at. But then it kind of abandoned that. The bear spirit literally eats Dr. Reyes, and they find a pool of her blood afterwards. But yeah, that did kind of suck. And like I said, I get it. They wanted to do the whole fake out, but I think they could have been done a little bit better. Her and the fact that, like I said, it had the X-Men name, but didn't really feel like an X-Men movie. It barely even felt like a superhero movie. And it leaning into the horror aspects and it being radar as well. This movie did get the radar treatment. I feel like you could do that, but also having it be in the vein of like a superhero movie, where you can balance it out to where it's both. I think it may be able to be done, but maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part. But sadly, this movie didn't really get that. So, unfortunately, with the low box office score and a lot of the negative reviews and stuff, sadly, the X-Men saga as we know it to this point ends on less of a bang and more of kind of a whimper, unfortunately. And I feel like this movie definitely flew under the radar for a lot of people. To the point where people talked about how much this movie kind of flew under the radar, which is disappointing because, like I said, I think the movie did have potential, but it didn't really live up to this potential. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Excuse me. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the movie, your thoughts on my review of the movie. Did you like, dislike the movie? Did you like, dislike my review of the movie? Let me know. Of course, because now we're done with this saga, next week is going to be the retrospective. So we're going to so if you see my retrospective videos before, you already know how it works. But if you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked overall, some of the highlights and the lowlights of the X-Men saga. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.